This game has come out. It came out like last week, I think. I think it came out last week. Yes. Here we go. Oh my God. It hit a new player peak today. The game actually released last week, and it's growing. I put in 110 hours. Where am I at? I'm at 122.
When a massive free-to-play game like Where Winds Meets finally launches, you usually see one of two outcomes.
Yep.
Either it's a polished, accessible hit that everyone agrees it's pretty good,
That's
or
right.
it's a buggy, unoptimized mess that gets dismissed within a week. What you don't often see is both at the same time.
That's
if you
true.
look at the professional reviews, you will see a mixed 72 on Metacritic.
I really want these websites to remove critic reviews. This is DEI for worthless garbage journalists who really, they're activists. They're activists in disguise as a journalist. We need to totally get rid of the idea of critic reviews, and those people don't need to be treated like they're special. If you want to be special, go make a YouTube channel and upload it yourself. There should not be review websites that aggregate critic reviews unique to actual user reviews. It's ridiculous.
Will see a 6 out of 10 from IGN. The
6
consensus
out
from
of
critics
10.
is that this game is fractured, messy.
Wait, 1 second.
6 out of 10 from IGN.
Wait, they deleted the review? No way. I don't know why it said that. Yeah, it's right here. This is 6 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what. Yeah. Blew back in their face? I guess so. But it's not a 6 out of 10 game. Like, whoever said that's a retard. Less than Concord. Honestly, who cares what experts critic think if it doesn't align with what you think? Here's the reason why it matters. It's because these critics do... Like, a lot of companies listen to them and they take them seriously, and they're given artificial visibility that's created by these websites. So what you want to do, like, my goal is to minimize and destroy their influence. I want to put these people back in McDonald's. Every single one of them is going back to McDonald's, and I will not stop until that happens. And one of the big steps in that is delegitimizing them and removing their artificial, representation. That is my goal. I want to send them back to McDonald's. They are worthless garbage, and all they do is encourage developers to make bad games. That's it.
Consensus from critics is that this game is fractured, messy, dizzying, and severely lacks polish. But then you look at the players, an 80% very positive rating on Steam from thousands of reviews, massive instant hit player counts. It peaked at over 193,000 concurrent players on Steam alone, making it one of the top played games at launch. And veteran creators like Asmongold, who after
Okay. All right. That's nice. Great. Oh, lovely. Oh, good. Oh, good.
who after running into every single one of those messy systems, ultimately gave the game an 8.5 out of 10.
Tomorrow, I will play more of it tomorrow. I did. And we'll do more of that. And yeah, I've had fun. My overall experience, like my day one experience,
This is
like
me
if I was
talking.
going to rate the game, give the game a rating, I would say that the rating... I would actually increase my rating at this point to a 9. I think that after playing the game more, I think it's closer to a 9 or a 9.5 game for what it is. It's an incredibly high quality, very good game. I would give the game so far, it's been like an 8, like maybe an 8.5. Like I've been really enjoying it so far. I really like the open world games like this.
I think it's good. Cosmetic,
and honestly, for what it is, I think it might even be higher than that.
Yeah,
because it's made to be like an open world kind of like MMO light game.
Are you getting the boat?
This isn't a simple disagreement. This is a fundamental disconnect.
It is.
It points to something much more important. Where Winds Meets is not just another competitor in the open world market. It's a wake-up call. And
it's beyond that. The problem and the reason why these games get rated badly is because the journalists and the people inside of media want to minimize and destroy the influence of Chinese video games because those Chinese video games are not accountable to them. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to smear, misrepresent, and damage the reputation of Chinese video games in favor of maintaining Western video games dominance inside of the industry so that they can maintain their proxy control over the industry. That's the reason why they're doing it. Asian games, yeah, but it's especially Chinese. Especially Chinese. They did this with Wukong. They did it with, I think, some of the Hoyoverse games as well. And not just games. Yes. And this is what's happening. Just like Black Myth Wukong was Wake Up Call. Exactly. And again, that sounds kind of schizo, to be honest. I know. I can't believe they're doing it. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I totally agree. And no, but I think that's actually what's happening. Because again, it sounds crazy, but I know that I'm not crazy. I'm the only person sometimes that's not crazy. Sometimes you have to see things for what they are, and what they are is fucking ridiculous.
Understand why this is happening, why this divide is so significant, we first have to understand what this game is trying to be. But before we get into that, if you appreciate this kind of breakdown, a like on the video and subscribing to the channel is a huge help, and it lets me know that you want to see more. On paper, the identity of Where Winds Meets is simple: a free-to-play, wuxia-themed open-world action RPG. But that description doesn't really tell you anything. In fact, I don't think it's very accurate. The only word that properly describes this game is maximalist. It just means that it wants to do everything. It's not trying to be one thing, it is an attempt to be 5 or maybe 6 different games, all living in the same house. And it's not quite about it either. Let's just list them out, right? You have the combat. This is the Souls-like. It's not a button masher. It's a tactical system.
What does wuxia mean? It's like a Chinese, like fantasy mythology, fucking martial arts, like high fantasy Chinese martial arts.
Built entirely on precise timing, on parrying, and on counterattacking. Your skills aren't based on a rigid class.
I didn't know what it was meant. I didn't know what it meant either.
Like a sword, a fan,
that's
or
how
a
I know.
spear. The exploration is a pure Breath of the Wild. The developers have been very clear. If you see a mountain in the distance,
you can go
there. You can get around using lightness skills, which is just the wuxia way of saying you can run on water and sprint vertically up a cliff face. And then it's a GTA-style sandbox. The game is set in a chaotic 10th century era, and the systems let you embrace that. You can choose a criminal path. You can kill NPCs and get a wanted level, and maybe even hunted by other players for a bounty. It is also a deep life sim. They have this identity system. It is far more than a simple crafting mini game. It is a completely parallel path. If you want to, you can apparently just ignore the main quest and become a full-time doctor who can heal, or accidentally worsen NPCs, or an architect who builds houses, or a bodyguard. And finally, the foundation holding all of this up is an RPG, a massive 150 plus hour story-driven single-player focused open world.
And you can see why they're mad.
A Zelda Explorer, a GTA sandbox, and a live sim, all built on an RPG chassis. And that is the proposition. That is the
because it makes every single Western developer that makes garbage games, it makes all of them look retarded. It makes them look retarded and incompetent. And I think also they're able to do all of this without having any sort of accountability to this fake media apparatus. I think the media does a lot in order to create a need for themselves. That's why I was so happy Trump just said today, he was like, oh, just laugh at what they're saying and just agree with them. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. That's the way I think they need to be treated. I hate design.
All of this ambition, this desire to be everything at once is the direct source of the game's single biggest problem. This have-it-all design results in a fracture. The game's identity is fundamentally split. You are essentially playing two different games that just happen to be at war with each other, right inside the same clients. The split is a direct source of what has been the #1 complaint, the worst marketing. This massive confusion about what the game's multiplayer is. Because let's be clear,
I don't know what it is.
It's not a traditional MMO. You are not running around with thousands
not really
of
an MMO.
Players in the same persistent shared world, doing quests together. That is not how this works. Instead, the game is a hybrid. It strictly divides its content into two separate modes you have to switch between. First, you have the game 1, the Lone Wanderer mode. This is the default. This is the Genshin style experience.
Who wants a traditional MMO? A lot of people don't anymore.
150 plus hour
and there's a reason for that.
It's solo only. You do all of that alone. And now you can play co-op from this mode, like its competitors. However,
you can swap. What makes it good is that you can swap from solo gameplay to group gameplay completely seamlessly. Like, you just go through a loading screen and then you spawn in with everybody else. So this game plays a lot kind of like Monster Hunter in a way, where you have optional co-op behavior. Now, the only thing that I would say is like maybe a disagreement that I have is that you are incentivized by higher reward ratios to play with other people in terms of like end-game item rewards. So like you do want to play with other people, and like there's a point where that's good, a point where that's bad. Lost Ark implemented that with solo raids also. So it really kind of depends. Plays a lot like Genshin. Well, this game is basically a gacha game that has more realism attached to it in terms of like its style and like its graphics, and everything else is basically the same.
Not a truly shared world. You create a private instance room, like a temporary copy of the world, made just for you and your friends. You can get a group of up to 4 people together to explore and fight the world bosses. But that main story stays a solo endeavor. And then you have Game 2, the shared journey mode. This is what they call the MMO part. But even this is misleading. When you switch to this mode, the open world is empty. There is no enemies, no mobs, no story quests. This is the key misunderstanding that's tripping everyone up. This shared journey mode is essentially a lobby. It is a social hub when you can see thousands of other players, but it functions as a gateway. It is the place you go to queue up for all of the traditional instance MMO activities.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
The raids, the PvP arenas, and the guild wars. This structure is clunky. It is confusing, and it's not what people expected. But
I
as
didn't even know about
see,
that.
This clunky fractured design isn't just a flaw. It is also the game's sharpest weapon. This two-game system, as confusing as it is, appears to be a very deliberate choice. It is a calculated attack on the biggest complaints that players have had about its gacha competitors for years, and its first target is what creator Gacha Smack.
The reason why I think that a lot of people don't like the gacha games is because they're pay to win. Like, that's the reason why they're bad. It's because they're pay to win games, and if you make progress in the game, you can come back and your progress will be invalidated. Like, gacha games at a baseline, if you look at Honkai Star Rail as a baseline video game, phenomenal game. You look at Wuthering Waves as a baseline video game, amazing game. Even Zenless Zone Zero plays extremely well, even though I don't really like it that much. Like, Genshin Impact is the same thing. So all of these games are actually at a very baseline incredible, amazing games, but they're just infected with this virus that's pay to win. That's really the problem that people have with them.
Bluntly called the dog poo.
Is this not pay to win? No, it's not pay to win. Like, I mean, there are a handful of things that you can do. Like, you can buy like a little like $5 monthly pass or like a battle pass that gives you an advantage. So to me, this is the problem that I have with pay to win. So this is inside of a free to play game, right? Free to play. So every single game these are the types of monetization systems that I have a problem with, okay? So I am okay with a game, obviously, that's completely free to play, right? There is no like bad stuff in it, no cosmetics really, or it's only cosmetics, and that's it. But there's nothing that will actually make your character more powerful, and there's nothing else you can do. So that to me is totally fine. It's obviously great because you're playing a game for free and you can get everything, right? That's obviously good. That's like PoE, kind of like PoE. Yeah, but yeah, it is PoE. It's exactly PoE. So this is a good example is PoE. So the second one is a lot like many other gacha games, and I would generally rate this as probably about yellow, where it can be bad, but it's usually not. Wuthering Waves falls inside of this second category, where the game is pay to win if you define being able to spend money to gain any advantage categorically. So if you look at that definitionally, it is pay to win, but functionally it's not in the same way that a gacha game is. And what I mean by that is that, for example, you can buy a battle pass, and the battle pass will allow you to accelerate your growth and make your character better. But it's like $15 or it's $5 for the monthly pass. So that to me is a very big difference than the traditional pay to win that is effectively uncapped. So basically, the way that I define the negative effect of pay to win is based off of how much you need to pay in order to win. If you are stronger than a person that spent $5, or sorry, if a person spends $5 and they're stronger than you for a month, I don't think that's a big deal for a free-to-play game. If a person spends, if the person that spends $10 is stronger than the person that spends $5, that's not great, but it's okay. Sometimes it's acceptable. But here's where it really becomes a problem. It becomes a problem where the person that spends $100 is weaker than the person that spends $500, and the person that spends $500 is weaker than this person that spends $1,000, and the person that spends $1,000 is weaker than the person that spends $2,000. And that is the pay to win. That is awful. That is the Diablo Immortal, like, this is Diablo Immortal garbage. And again, there are a lot of games inside of this, right? And so I'll just put it right here, okay? PoE, okay? So this is like PoE. This is like where winds meet. I'll come up with some more of them later on. But basically games that you just buy a battle pass and that's about it. This is Lost Ark. It's also basically every other gacha game. Let's see here, Diablo Immortal. Right? BDO is yellow. BDO is not yellow. You can spend money and get an advantage in BDO. And so, yeah, there it is. Wuthering Waves, not where winds meet. Well, Wuthering Waves is absolutely pay to win. It's definitionally pay to win. I have a fucking, like, what is it? Whatever the thing that I have the C6 or Constellation or fucking the maxed out Cardathia. Like, yeah, that's pay to win. Trust me. I know that because I paid to win. And so, yeah, E6. Yeah, there you go. And who said BDO is yellow? Somebody that's stupid. So anyway, the point is that pay to win in a free to play game is, in my opinion, acceptable as long as the barrier to entry for it has a very, very low ceiling. So, like, you can only spend, like, $20 to own a battle pass to accelerate progress, but you can't do something that's going to make you, like, infinitely more powerful than everybody else, the same as you can with gacha games. Do you see kind of what I'm saying here? BDO barely has any pay to win? Well, I don't know about that. I'm just saying in general. Yeah, I'd include any MMO. Yeah, there needs to be capped. Yeah, if the pay to win has a very low ceiling in a free to play game, that's acceptable. To me, that's my opinion. If you choose not to play games like that, completely justified. But that's how I feel about it personally.
Co-op of games like Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. He is talking about that familiar static visit my world model, the one where you join a friend, you run around their world, but you can't open their chest, you can't progress their story. There is no real incentive to be there other than just being there, I guess. It is not true cooperative play, where Windsmeet attacks this head on. Gacha Smack called it a proper co-op mode.
This is a game that has done co-op right. When I explore...
Yeah, the future of co-op and MMOs is going to be a model like Where Winds Meet or like Monster Hunter. That's the future.
Somebody else's world, I expect to reap the benefits of their world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I'm calling out games like Genshin.
He just gets muted for everything. Dumbass retarded games like Genshin and Wuthering Waves, yeah.
Impact and Wuthering Waves. These gacha games, bro, they're cooked in co-op. They love to sell it like it's they sell it like a dream. With co-op, you get in the game, it's the most limited co-op you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, I mean, like in Wuthering Waves, you can join other people's worlds and collect echoes because certain NPCs only spawn a certain amount of time. But that was something that people generally did at the beginning of the game, and now that there's so many different resources and ways to get echoes, it's not really like you don't really need to do that anymore. Co-op is shit. I never have done co-op, if you want me to be honest.
In this game, you can fight all the bosses in the world together. At least from my experience, that's what I saw. The bosses are super difficult. We had to quit on a boss. Maybe we were undergeared. You know what I mean?
I've had to do the same thing, I'll be honest.
Not gonna lie. But the fact that we can still go do it together was a fun experience. You also can explore and unlock the map together. And if I open up a chest, everybody gets that reward as well. That's something that is very important in co-op, guys. You want to give incentives to join somebody's world. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It means you are not just visiting your friend's world, you are progressing with them. You are actively encouraged to explore together, fight world bosses together, and solve complex puzzles, because everyone in the group benefits from the discoveries. It provides a genuine incentive for shared exploration.
Well, it gets people a reason to actually play with each other. That's the thing, is that a lot of these games don't actually provide a reason.
This is the first wake-up
It's a good
call.
goal.
This
Yeah, of
attack
course.
on bad co-op is only half the strategy.
It's a
The
very
second
good thing.
and perhaps even more significant wake-up call is what Where Winds Meets does with its endgame. The target here is that famous predictable complaint, a lack of endgame. It is the feeling that plagues almost every massive gacha game. You finish the story, you explore the map, and then you just run out of meaningful things to do. Where Winds Meets was clearly built from the ground up to solve this exact problem.
You're always going to run out of content eventually in any video game because you're going to hit a plateau for power scaling. That's not even a bad thing. That's normal. That's the way every video game works. You're not just going to like infinitely power scale for all time. Like you eventually, like you're going to eventually hit a plateau and you're going to have done all the bosses and that's going to be it. That's okay. It's not even a bad problem.
Back to that 2-game fracture. The developers took that entire second game, that shared journey MMO components, and they bolted it back to the single-player world. That MMO lobby, the one with no story quest, that is the whole point. It is a dedicated space for a traditional competitive endgame. It is a hub where you go to queue up for all of the things its competitors are missing. Challenging multiplayer dungeons, epic raids, PvP duel.
Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck is this?
And a large-scale guild.
What the fuck? I didn't see this.
Versus guild,
this is crazy.
Wars. This is a direct strategy. It is a calculated business move to capture and keep
Holy
the high
shit.
investment end game players. They are targeting the people who finish the story in competitor games and leave because they are looking for a persistent competitive loop to grind. And of course, this is how they monetize that loop. The game introduces a pay to progress faster system. It is not a pay for power. You can't just buy the best sword from a store. Instead, it uses a stamina system, sometimes called vitality. This system puts a hard cap on how many rewards you can get from those dungeons and raids every day. But if you buy the battle pass or the monthly pass, you get items like vitality pills that gives you more stamina. This lets
But the thing is that if you buy the battle pass or the vitality pass, you can't just, as far as I know, you can't just infinitely buy battle passes or vitality passes. So you will eventually run out of ways that you can pay to win. So like spending $5 to get a little bit of a bonus, I hate energy. I don't care about that because energy is just simply like, for example, like heroic dungeons in Burning Crusade having a daily lockout is effectively energy. Like the energy system, the only thing that I don't like about the energy system is that it doesn't get stored in a lot of early games. So like, for example, like in Honkai Star Rail, they have the best version of this, right? Where you can collect, what is it, like 28,000 or 2,800, 3,200 energy. So if you take a long break from the game and you come back, you can really make a deep cut into the new content and you're not going to get immediately time gated by having to wait for energy restart, right? It's good. Yeah. And Wuthering Waves has a much lesser version of this, which I think they should make it more. But I think theirs is like 480 or something like that. There might be 240. I don't remember. But either way, so you just progress faster, further and faster if you pay. You do, but the ceiling for that per month is like $20 or like $5 or something like that. So to me, that's acceptable. Now everybody's going to make their own opinion about it, but like to me, I consider that acceptable.
And customers run more content, get more loot, and progress their gear faster than a free-to-play player. It is a controversial loop for sure, but it's also a very familiar and marketable system, designed specifically to monetize that competitive endgame community. This entire structure, this fractured two-game solution is the core of the game's identity. It is also what brings us to the most interesting part of this launch, the massive, unavoidable divide between what the critics are saying and what the players are doing. If you look
it's because it's a Chinese game. That's the reason. It's a Chinese game. If this game came out in America, they'd be glazing the fuck out of it. I mean, how many different points on the graph do you need until you can draw a line? It's very obvious that this is what they're doing. They're delegitimizing and demonizing Chinese video games and other Eastern video games. And they will do this to Indian video games also, and they'll do this to Korean video games also. They'll do this to any video game that is outside of their sphere of influence so they can artificially create an importance for themselves. That's the reason why they're doing it.
The professional reviews.
They do glaze Japan. they glazed Japan because the talons of DEI and diversity and inclusion and fucking weird bullshit sexualities being put into the game, they have already gotten their claws into Japan, unfortunately. And it's been so bad that they even have made a bill recently saying that, hey, we don't want to have this happen anymore. That's the reason why they're positive about it. So you can't go crazy, but it becomes more like, wow, like a subscription system, the cosmetics go crazy? Yeah, definitely.
The game is mixed.
That's the reason why.
You will see a 72 on Metacritic or a 6 out of 10 from IGN, and the criticisms are...
And also another reason is that the Japanese companies have relationships with these journalists. I think that like this is unironically a Gamergate moment where you have journalists that are providing positive coverage to video games that they have good personal relationships with the people that work at the companies. I think it's really just that simple.
All the same. They are all valid. They center on the messy UI, the dizzying amounts of micromanagements, and frankly, the awful English localization. But then you look at the users. The user reception on Steam is very positive, with an 80% approval rating from thousands of reviews. The game was an instant hit, with a massive launch player counts, over 193,000 on Steam alone. So what is going on here? Asmongold experience is the perfect case study for this divide. He went into the game shocked by the 6 out of 10 review, and for a while, his playthrough looked just like that review.
How do I pause the game? I didn't like that you couldn't pause during the beginning. I wish you could have rebound the keys during this intro thing. Okay, all right. Can I change? Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought that was unnecessary. This is fine. It was a lot. Yeah. I just want to know. That annoyed me. Yeah. It doesn't even let me change my key bindings. This very beginning, of course you didn't know shit. Well, no, it's because you couldn't do it. You literally were not able to change your key bindings. It was for 5 minutes. Yeah, I know that. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important, is because like you want to have a game that doesn't like the beginning of a game has to have the least amount of friction. So if you have the beginning of a game that creates a friction moment, you're going to have people leave. Like that, I don't. That's like my biggest criticism of the game is that I think you should be able to change your key bindings in the tutorial. Is that really crazy? I don't think so. Yeah, somebody in chat said it was gay after the tutorial. So I've got to learn. So I have to muscle memory the wrong key bindings. Okay. I just got to beat him. That's all. All I have to do, I just have to beat him.
He immediately ran into all of that friction the critics hated. He got stuck in the tutorial, completely frustrated by the confusing key bindings. He was completely stopped by the broken character creator's image upload feature, and he was visibly annoyed by the endless, overwhelming dialogue. By all accounts, he should have hated it. But then he discovered that...
Yeah, because that doesn't matter. That's not a video game. Like, why would I be upset about that? That's not video game content. Like, the thing is that this is the problem, is that journalists and these writers base their ratings off of things that aren't video game stuff. I don't care about how much dialogue the story has. I just skip it if I don't want to listen to it. I care about the game. If I wanted to listen to dialogue, I'd go watch fucking anime. So obvious.
He found out that he could just attack a random villager and that the game would react.
Guys, I think I've ruined the game. Crime of intentional harm. Wait, what? What do you mean crime? What? Wait, why? Who's shooting me? Yeah. This is why you have a bounty? I didn't know this. How could I have known this? Yeah. Wait, it's the police. Dude. Yep. Just gotta kill the police. That's all you have to do. In game, in a video game. Oh. Am I supposed to kill the police?
The moment he saw that sandbox freedom, his entire opinion of the game completely shifted. He ended that stream by giving the game an 8, maybe an 8.5, a score that seems impossible next to that 6 out of 10 from IGN. And the title—
Well, it's not impossible. It's IGN's biased. They're biased. And all the other companies are too.
Of his next video, I can't stop playing this game. I mean, this is a wake-up call. It is not just about the features, it is about the audience. The audience is proving that they are absolutely starved for depth and innovation. They're willing to push through a messy UI. They're willing to learn dizzying systems. They will forgive a lot of friction if the core fantasy is strong enough. And that fantasy—
Yeah, they want to play a good video game. That's what really matters the most to the average person. And this is one thing that developers understand, designers understand, but journalists don't. They want to focus on things that don't matter, like how the grass moves, or the dialogue in the game, or the story, or how the story fits with the world game. Like, what is this? This is it's none of that stuff actually matters to a real player. And this is the fundamental problem. Is like, yeah, does the game have AI in it? What the fuck are you talking about? Does it have AI in it? Who decided that this is a metric that you're going to grade a video game off of?
Is one of the true co-op.
Can you pet the cat fallacy? Yeah, exactly. Is there a fishing minigame?
A fantasy.
As I said, I am going to do my best to send every single one of these people back to McDonald's. That is my goal. My goal is to send them all back to McDonald's. I hate them.
Real consequences in a sandbox world. It is a fantasy of a world that has—
I cannot even
depth.
express how much I hate them.
The real alarm this game is sounding is that the market is changing. This is the real wake-up call, okay? It is not that Where Winds Meets is a Genshin killer. It's not. It is not a perfect polished game that is going to steal the entire casual market. The wake-up call is precisely that it's not perfect. It is a fractured experience. As we have discussed, it is a messy game with a dizzying UI that critics and players alike have pointed out. By all conventional wisdom, a game this ambitious and this unpolished, this high friction, should have failed, especially when launching for free against some of the most polished, accessible competitors.
Well, this is the same thing with Dark Souls, for example, right? Dark Souls is very different than this, but it follows the same base paradigm, that a video game that doesn't follow conventional wisdom can still be very successful as long as it does follow other types of wisdom and it delivers a good experience that's besides that. And like Dark Souls didn't follow a lot of the traditional wisdom of video games back then, but it was still very successful because the core gameplay was good. That's the only thing that matters. A bunch of indie games popping on my feed. AAA is cooked. If 2 guys can make a game better than DAO, I don't know how they keep dumping $200 million into games. It's because the people that are making the decisions are disconnected. And one of the reasons why is that they read critic reviews. They should never be reading critic reviews
in the world, but
like if you're a game developer or you're a publishing studio and you read critic reviews in order to get an idea on whether your game is good or not, you will fail.
It is a very positive user score on Steam, and its high player counts prove that audiences are desperate for more than just polish. They're desperate for ambition, and the message this sends to the entire live service market is painfully clear. It is telling them that players are tired of limited co-op. They are tired of visiting a friend's world and just running around, unable to do anything meaningful. It is telling them that players are tired of investing hundreds of hours into a game only to hit a wall where there is no meaningful endgame. And most importantly, it is telling them that players are willing to forgive a lot of friction, a lot of messy menus, and a lot of confusing systems if the game underneath it all delivers a deep, innovative, and uncompromising sandbox. The alarm here—
exactly. People just want to play a good game. Like, menus and stuff like that are only bad if the game is bad. The fundamental thing that makes a video game succeed or fail is its moment-to-moment, second-to-second, day-to-day gameplay. It's not the story, it's not the graphics, it's not the progression system. It is the moment-to-moment, second-to-second gameplay. That is the reason why New World failed. That is the reason why some gacha games succeed. If that gameplay is garbage, then your game is garbage. It's that simple.
Isn't make a better wuxia game. That is not what this is about. The alarm is that your audience is smarter and more patient than you think, and they are ready for something more. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you believe this is a system of systemic depth? All of these different jobs and sandbox features makes up for the lack of polish? And what is the one feature you think competitors should be paying the most attention to? Let me know in the comments below, but that is all from
individual, like, combat and gameplay. That is the thing that matters the most. combat gameplay and having an open-ended way to play the game at your own pace without having the video game constantly bombard you with cinematics and activities that you don't really want to do. That's the big reason. Like, every single video game nowadays, I feel like they take away the main thing that matters, which is the actual gameplay. And there's the video right there. Yeah, give the video a like. That was actually a very good one. I'm glad that people are talking about this game. But I do genuinely think, and I know that I sound like a schizo for saying this, but I really believe this is true. I think that the big reason why these games are getting rated negatively and people are being negative about them is very simply because they are Chinese. I think it's because they are Chinese video games. These developers these journalists and these websites do not want to have Chinese video games and other video games that are outside of their scope of influence come into the market and then be able to release products without being accountable to them. Because Chinese developers are not accountable to Western woke journalists. They're not accountable to a cancel campaign on Twitter. They're just simply going to make whatever video game they want, and if you don't like it, you can suck a fucking dick. That's it. And so that's the reason why journalists rate these games so negatively. That's the reason why, and you'll see this happen probably with Tides of Annihilation. You saw this happen with Stellar Blade. You saw this happen, and I know that's Korean, but like in general, I think it's Korea and China. I think it will also be India as well. Any region and any company that doesn't kowtow to the way that they view things and the way that they see things, I bet Lords of the Fallen 2 will also be rated negatively because they have attractive women characters in them. The fact is that these companies are parasites. They are parasites. They are against you, the player, and their job is to make your video games bad. That's what they want to do. They want to make your video games garbage, and the people that don't listen to them, they will lie about, smear, and misrepresent. Absolute parasites. Lords of the Fallen is too easy and so incredible mid. I thought after the redo of it, it was very good, but that was about it. Remember how mad they were when the Black Myth devs wouldn't answer the media's accusations? Yes, and this is what the media does in order to create a need for itself. Is that so? The media made up a story about how Black Myth Wukong was sexist, right? And the people at the company were sexist because some guy that worked at the company made a joke or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was retarded. And so the media runs a story like this. Somebody else reports on the story. Somebody else reports on the story. And by the game of telephone, now it's legitimate. Now this is actually what's happened. And so in general, they create a need for themselves by agreeing with each other and then basically creating a controversy and then asking you to come to the table to explain your point of view of the controversy that they created. And the only way you can win in that situation is to not play the game. You just simply do not engage with those people. They are bad faith actors. They don't have any interest in your company. They don't want to see your game succeed. They actually want to see it fail. So you never, ever, ever play into the games. So yeah, they're also mad at Silksong for not giving them early access codes. Yeah, of course. And so they might misrepresent Silksong. Who the fuck cares if the dude is sexist? It has nothing to do with the game. Well, that's the thing too, right? And just a second. And that's the big problem. And where the fuck is it? Okay, there it is. All right, I was confused there. And sexism peak. Well, yeah, nobody really cares about that. Nobody cares about AI. Nobody cares about diversity and representation. These are things that if a video game and a review is talking about it, you know that this video game, this review is propaganda. And as I said before, I think that we all collectively need to push back and tell everybody that we don't want to have anything to do with these people. These people are awful. They are awful. They are telling everybody what to do. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. And so I will do my absolute best to delegitimize, to damage, and to minimize their influence. And I think everybody else should do the exact same thing. Because if it was up to them, you'd be playing the same DEI slop garbage over and over, and you'd get banned on social media for complaining about it. Never forget that. That if the shoe was on the other foot, they would be suppressing and they would be tyrants. And the only way you stop it is by relentlessly shitting on them, relentlessly pushing them down, and never giving an inch. They are the enemy of the people. They hate you.